Okay. Hello. Welcome back, guys, to another week at Spicenet with Spicy Takes. Today, we have an absolute fabulous guest with us who I am extremely excited to introduce and talk about today's subject, which is Spicenet joining the Chainlink BUILD program and what that means for both parties here. So Hans is working with us every single day as our Chainlink BUILD success manager, and she is here to talk to our community as well as the Chainlink community that is joining from their side. Hans, do you want to introduce yourself to everyone?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for the introduction, Matt. I was just wondering if we could do emojis here, but I don't see the emoji button. But normally at this point in time, I'll be throwing up a lot of like sparkle emojis and all the hearts and the clapping hands. But yeah, thanks so much, Matt. I'm Hans. So I work with Chainlink Build. So what we do here, for those who are not familiar, is that Chainlink Build is Chainlink's only ecosystem program. We try to take on high potential projects. So Spicenet is one of those projects that we have taken on. And essentially we supercharge them, right? So the main important thing that we do here is to make sure that projects like Spicenet, they get our support from a technical perspective, from a marketing perspective, from a builder ecosystem perspective, just to make sure that you guys are in the best, most prime position to succeed.
Yeah, absolutely. And when it comes to Chainlink, I mean, there's so many things that you guys are able to achieve as a project, as a community that I've always really admired. I mean, gosh, I've been following Chainlink for just about as long as it's been around, and it's always been just a superpower in this space. And with the things that you guys are working on, with the direction that I see the industry headed, I don't think that changes anytime soon. So yeah, super excited to be partnering up with you guys. Just wanted to talk about some of the things that we really look forward to getting out of this program. We see Build as a really unique program. So a lot of similar programs from some of the larger players in the space that I'd be wary of, and I won't name any names here because it might get me into trouble, is that you're joining the program, you're getting one benefit out of it, and then once that benefit is used, the relationship is kind of up. With Chainlink, one of the reasons we were super excited to join is because everyone that I talked to that's in the program said they joined for one or two reasons that they thought it was going to be super helpful. And then it ended up being like 5 or 10 reasons, like things just kind of kept stacking up. And every time they would come to Chainlink with a question, Chainlink Build was able to at least help them find an answer. So some of the things that we look forward to are building with the community, helping activate that community and kind of pair it with the community that we have going and that we've built up for ourselves at Spicenet at a time when we're approaching launch and we have a lot of momentum going into that. It's the perfect time to kind of accelerate that. On the other side of things, helping us make sure that we're secure as possible. And of course, on the infrastructure side, using all of the products that Chainlink has to offer to supercharge our product. Is there anything that I'm missing there, Hans, for other people that might be considering the build program and things that the build program does to help out?
Yeah, I think firstly we look for potential. This is something that is an amazing opportunity. I think we have a very strong team here. We work really hard at it. Chainlink Build is also a very high priority program within Chainlink. We want to make sure builders get enough support. So yeah, if there are potential founders out there, like really find a problem that's hard to solve, right? Like then you'll be in good companies. I'm not sure, Matt, if you saw some of the recordings at SmartCon. Our CTO, he went up on stage and said that, oh, at Chainlink we love solving hard problems, and we've been solving hard problems in DeFi since a really long time ago. So like you, I was following Chainlink on my own, on myself, back in the TradFi days. Like the first project that I knew outside of Ethereum and Bitcoin is Chainlink, just because they talk a lot of language that's very TradFi infrastructure technical in nature. that you can understand. So there's a lot of fundamentals in place. We spent a lot of time, obviously, building up this very strong infrastructure stack that we think a very strong project like ourselves, actually, what Spicenet is exactly building, we'll be able to capitalize really, really strongly on it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I mean, it's in the name Chainlink, right? A lot of a lot of services that are helping link together these chains, right? And the way we see it, like it's more important now for that to be a fix than any time in previous history. And I don't see that becoming less of a problem that we need a solution for in the future. So like when I think about why working with Chainlink specifically and why working with Chainlink right now, the two things that it boils down to for me is like an alignment in the things that we're trying to solve. So we can use the infrastructure that you guys have created. Essentially, you've created the bare primitive linking of chain technology, and we can take that and turn it into something that's even more powerful and leverages that and create a user experience that allows us to tap into all of the superpowers of all of the different chains, whether you want to have a Solana app because it's extremely fast, or you want to have an Injective app, which I saw you guys had an announcement with Injective yesterday as well. So shout out them. That's great for finance purposes, right? So we believe strongly in the strength of multiple chains and that they will continue to emerge. And we think that our solution is perfectly aligned with the solutions that Chainlink offers in trying to solve any of the growing pains associated with trying to tap into all those things and making sure that we're accessing all those things to the best of their ability and as securely as possible. So that's kind of my reasoning to look to Chainlink as a partner as opposed to any of the other major projects in the space. And I'm really excited to be building with those solutions to help our product. And Hans, I wanted to ask you, like, for other people joining the build program, people that have come in before us, what are some of the benefits that you see those builders getting out of the program or the Chainlink infrastructure?
Yeah, yeah. Just to touch on your last point, I actually feel like we're almost solving, or Spicenet is sort of like solving similar problems that Chainlink is trying to solve, right? The broader DeFi space have always struggled with data and interoperability. You guys are solving for interoperability. You're solving for fragmentation. You're solving for liquidity. That cannot be more important. Imagine if TradFi comes in and they have to decide between like 30,000 blockchains or 30,000 different protocols and venues on where exactly they should funnel some of that liquidity. It's not going to work. And it's very hard for us to sort of like make a dent on the market if we don't solve for these problems. Yeah. So on your point about like what sort of like what other things builders in the program can sort of benefit from, there are a lot, right? That's the basic thing. I think teams joining build, like, they come in with a very strong goal in mind, like what you guys have come in as well, which is really to scale faster, better, and to scale in the right direction. To take the feedback across like what we have been seeing. So one good thing with Chainlink is that we work across many different partners in the entire Web3 space, and now even beyond with our banking and capital market partners. So we work with the OG of OGs in DeFi. We work with the staking guys. We work with the RWA guys. You name it, like it's a vertical that we probably have touched before. Even back in the GameFi days, we've touched on BRF. Like that's something that was super cool. So I think like we have that sort of exposure, that sort of network and experience dealing with projects there. And we're of course like super happy to share, put you guys in touch with whoever that makes sense. I guess one of the other thing is also the network effects. Like I think this is a phrase that's been bandied about like quite casually, but at Chainlink you can actually see that happen. Just because we've been in the space for one of the longest times, and we've been securing DeFi since DeFi ever started, and we've now like securing over trillions of values. That's really, really insane. We have a network of projects, partners outside of Build, but even within Build ourselves, we have a very strong, like portfolio of projects. I think, Matt, you're also familiar with some of the projects in the space. These are your big, maybe DeFi guys, your data guys, without naming names. Like, everyone in Build is very, very important to us. But one of the strongest part about the network effects is like, instead of going to the market and hunting, maybe on a cold call or a cold intro to another project and partner, we want to make sure that you find your first potential partner or your first customer, your first collaborator within the Build program. And the saying goes, right? If you wanna go far, you have to go together. So yeah, this is sort of like the motto that we have.
Yeah, I think that's well said. And obviously a lot of people try to boast their networks if they've been around for a long time. I think something that gives Chainlink kind of a leg up on other people that are trying to offer their network effects to projects in a program like this is that Chainlink has such an agnostic solution, a chain agnostic solution, that like you guys have worked with most people in the space. So it's like, if I want to get in touch with somebody, there is a very good chance that you guys have worked with that person before, and that somebody that I talk to through you guys or on your team is like directly in touch with that person, and I can immediately talk to them. And I think that's great for us in terms of, finding integrations to partner up with and get our services implemented, or services in the space, or a lot more of the services associated with having a token once it's live, right? So yeah, I think that network effect is more vast because the solution that you guys offer is more vast in terms of the people that can use it. And I mean, I think ever since I joined the space, which was like 8 years ago,
Nice.
6 years ago, that I really was like looking at DeFi more so than just Bitcoin. The logo that I would see on the most websites would be Chainlink. And that's just because like everyone's using your guys' solutions. It's like the gold standard solution. And you guys have done a really good job of supporting the people that are using your solutions. So I think all of that hard work that you guys have put in, along with having a solution that pretty much everyone building in this space needs to use, has resulted in the best possible network for you guys.
Yeah, I think that's super cool. Yeah, it sort of like coincides with like my experience as well. Like the thing with DeFi is like across the years, I think like all of us would have been involved in some sort of security hack, some sort of like failure on the part of the protocol not using the right infrastructure, and that's something that actually it's what we if you ask like what Chainlink engineers, right, like what keeps them up at night, like. And I've asked this question, like, just like to survey my fellow colleagues, and it's always like security. Like, we're super afraid because we power a lot of the world. Like, you would imagine AWS is going to be super afraid if they go down. Although it doesn't seem like they are, but like, I thought they would.
Cloudflare is definitely more afraid now than they were a week ago.
I sure hope so, right? You would definitely want someone that's like so important in the infrastructure, the plumbings, the picks and shovels, like to be very consistent in their delivery of what they purport to do, right? And so I like with everything at Chainlink, we always talk about security. There's only like a couple of reasons why we're like the OG data provider, interoperability provider, like the only sort of like real crypto project that has broached TradFi this well, is because we have been trusted and tested. Like, I think that's the most important thing. And some things you sort of like just need time to go through that sort of
Yeah,
period.
definitely.
Each project to survive,
Definitely.
prove itself repeatedly. So yeah,
Yeah.
that was pretty
And
cool.
and for us, it's like I feel like we get to inherit some of that experience as well, having been through things, seeing things break, fixing them, like over time, iterating and making the best version of the product. We get to kind of inherit some of that experience. But while we're talking about the actual infrastructure itself, like what are the different types of infrastructure that people in the build program are generally getting access to, and what benefits are they getting for using those pieces of infrastructure?
Yeah, you definitely, so Spicenet is definitely going to get a lot of support from us from a technical perspective. Like I cannot say more about the technical bits. What you guys would get is like not only just like priority access, which is obviously super cool. So at the most recent SmartCon, we announced a couple of things. You know, we have this thing called Chainlink runtime environment, which is probably going to show up on your feed now a lot more since I've just said it. And everyone who has attended this space as well, because it's literally going to be the next big thing. We have a lot of components that are going to be built into this environment. Some of it would be relevant to you, some of it less so. So something that's been quite cool is we launched this thing that allows smart contracts to go private. You can think about private transactions, private transfers, private data flow. This has been quite a big topic recently, and obviously so, right? Like in the TradFi world, you definitely need certain transactions to be shielded. That's how the way works. Everybody talks about privacy, and some of these things should be inherited on chain as well. So like as part of build, like you guys get access to that priority access. So if you ever want to innovate on that front, like definitely that's something that's also possible. Yeah, and then I think for you guys, something that will come up a lot more is probably CCIP, and maybe Matt, you can share more about like what's on your roadmap.
Yeah, definitely. So for us, I mean, right now it's like the data streams that we're super interested in, because for us, we're essentially building like this settlement layer where we're accounting for all of the assets that are coming through us. And essentially the way that this works is if somebody is interacting with a protocol through Spicenet, they're essentially getting like minted tokens on Spicenet's L1 that are accounting for their deposit into our network. And then those tokens that are on our L1 are allowing them to access our liquidity at any moment across any chain. So this is the way that we're allowed to, or we're able to allow somebody to have like a margin account that's globalized, where they just have USDC that is deployable across all of the blockchains that we sit on. It's because we have this sort of like settlement layer. And in order for us to have that, we basically need to have the data streams to always ensure that the assets in the protocol are met one-to-one with the liabilities. So that at any time, if somebody wants to execute, whether it's like a withdraw transaction or they want to swap, they want to deposit, you know, they want to stake, whatever it is, there is always the capital there to fulfill that transaction. And like you said, with that being such a pivotal piece of infrastructure that is going to change the way that people interact with the space, we're going to end up with so much of this TVL in the network, not taking it off these other chains, but basically backed one-to-one on our chain. And we're always going to be able to, we're always going to need to know that we have this one-to-one backed, right? So that'll be likely the way that we lose sleep once we have all of that TVL on Spicenet, is like making sure that it's always one-to-one backed. That's like the security concern. And using the reliable data streams that Chainlink is able to offer as kind of like the gold standard there, it's the best way to power that and make sure that it's as safe as it could possibly be.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is something so our docs are pretty public out there. Like you be able, like any developer that's watching the stream would be able to like go through our docs, understand how to build it. But like one part of being with build within the program itself is that we want to make sure that you have some white glove service, right? We want to be able to innovate with you, like how specifically are you using these tools of ours? What's the best way to integrate? How can we do this even better, maybe even more efficient? These are problems that our solution architects, like they're just super experienced in the space, that would be able to guide you guys through this thing. So I'm excited for that. And yeah, you can really see us like asking a lot of questions about all of this, because whatever you build is definitely going to be important for us.
Exactly. Yeah. And you mentioned CCIP as well. I won't get into it too deeply today, but it's something that
It's
we're
the secret
looking.
sauce.
Yeah, it's definitely a secret sauce, right? It's going to make it really possible to basically message and send tokens from chain to chain, which is going to be super essential for a future product that we're looking to launch. You know, it's not the product of focus right now, so I won't spoil it for people. But yeah, it's definitely a service we can't wait to use, and one that I think will gain a lot of popularity in the next couple of years and even decades. But back to like the actual joining of the build program for us, like I wanted to hear from you, like what does this mean for your community that Spicenet is now part of this build program?
Yeah, yeah. So firstly, the Chainlink community is a very interesting community. Again, being so OG as a project, the community is also very OG. And Chainlink is not an easy project to love, right? You can't just meme. You can meme everything in the space, but you can tell by the comments that are happening on Chainlink's page is that the community actually tends to be very technical. They tend to be very involved. So I think this would be a very good plus point. Like having a new project join build would mean that this community now have, a project that they could go to, maybe get early access, maybe get some priority testing, get access and to some of your earlier products even. This is something that like I think we are opening the opportunity to some of our community members to come in there and test things, use the product. I think that's the most important thing, and then understand how it works and understand the problems that you guys are facing, right? And this is all that makes like everything that makes a useful community useful. Like they're there to make sure that you get the sort of feedback that you're expecting from a community of users.
Yeah.
So I think this is exciting. Yeah, we wanna do that. And some of the ways we do that, of course, is so X is a big, sort of like channel for us. Any of the announcements that we do, any of the co-marketing opportunities that we do, the main thing is to drive visibility. Now, you and I go on X every day. What happens on X is that our algo, our feed, we get a lot of news, right? So like I always feel like it's important to have multiple touch points with the community. One announcement just doesn't cut it, right? Like we want to create multiple announcements, multiple spotlights. Like if you're using some technology of ours, then community members feel like, all right, this is something that I know I can trust. That's been secure. Like there is as little downside as it is to sort of test a feature, test a product. And yeah, this is something that we want to offer to our community, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. We're on the verge of basically launching some on-chain quests and ways for people to get involved with our tech directly, and it's going to be like an early access thing. So not everyone is going to get to test it, but the people that have been contributing to us have been, and that's perhaps a bit of an alpha leak about what we've been discussing behind closed doors on how we
I love alpha leaks.
Yeah. Yeah, so for everyone that's here, know that that's one of the benefits to you guys being involved thus far, and having been involved with the portal that we announced a couple of weeks ago is like that when we have tech coming out and people are trying it, those are the people we're going to look to first to allow to try it and to get that feedback from. I think welcoming Chainlink as community members into something like that is super powerful for us because we know the level of kind of OG-ness that the Chainlink community has. This is important because the people that are in the Chainlink community have been in this space for so long. I mean, I'm sure you guys have new people joining every day, but the Chainlink OGs are the OGs of the space, right? These are the people that understand the tech that's being built in this space better than anyone. And these are the type of people that you want to be getting feedback from. So we're definitely going to do our best to make sure that those people are included in the rollouts that we're doing for the tech within the next couple of months. So maybe that's a good kind of thing to ask is like, what do you see being on the roadmap for maybe the Chainlink community? What can they expect in the next 3 to 6 months?
Yeah, so on that point, like you mentioned like okay, the community is OG, yes, and the community is growing day by day. In fact, I feel like there are not many protocols that have communities that grow day by day from a source that does not necessarily have to come from crypto. So if you look at like Chainlink's X, like or like SmartCon or anything that we are intentionally pushing out or doing right now in quite an aggressive nature, is that we are courting big money. We're trying to court smart money. We're trying to court people that are wearing suits and ties every day. to officers, we're trying to court these guys, right? We're trying to tell them to bring their money, their resources, their galaxy brains, everything on chain. And I think we can think of it as a way of like, okay, because Spicenet is solving a very important problem that is due to today, even in TradFi, it's very difficult for you to do. You can't trade on interactive broker and then say that your stocks there can be used as collateral for trading on Robinhood. This just not possible. Composability is intentionally not possible in the walled gardens of TradFi. It's just like that. I used to work in a bank, and if you have assets sitting in bank in US, you can't have that shifted over to a bank in Europe. And you know, I can't lend you money based on that assets. Composability in DeFi should be a very, very core strength. So I'm actually excited, you know, for the next 3 to 6 months.
That's a nice spicy take, actually, because I think people see interoperability as one of the major problems in the space, right? Is like that we're not quite as interoperable as the TradFi systems are. But I think what you're saying is true. Like, we have opportunity to expand past the level of interoperability and universal access that traditional systems have. So yeah, I think, you know, Chainlink kind of is the base infrastructure for that. What we're building takes that a step further, and I agree. I think the next 3 to 6 months we'll continue to see more expansion of the space in terms of the TradFi people coming to use DeFi to do things that they can in traditional finance, right?
Yeah, and if they join the space, right, and they're gonna follow, like, you know, one of the most used infrastructure, right, as like the source of truth or like the source of good news, or worthy news, and if they follow the Chainlink feed and they look at the ecosystem of projects building on Chainlink, then they're gonna see a chili logo, right, like the Spicenet logo. They're gonna explore what this means for them, and if they're gonna hop on like a put DEX like Hyperliquid, and at the same time want to trade on another put DEX or an options DEX, then in order for their capital to be more efficient, then they need to look for solutions that make sense, that will give them an edge above what they can already access in TradFi. So I think like what you guys are doing here is like we're not just competing on TradFi level, right? We're breaking a bit of a boundary here. You can't actually do this without smart contracts. You can't actually do this without tokens. So I think that's the cool part, and I'm excited. So I'm sure the community is excited to see what you guys are gonna deliver.
Definitely. What would be your like call to action for the Chainlink community? Like, how can they get involved right now?
Yeah. To get involved in Chainlink, they are already involved. But to get involved with Spicenet, I think the first thing is to use the product. Definitely, I think our community has been super supportive. So I think the simple, like, basic things about joining your access, following you guys on, not joining your access, following your X account, you know, following you guys on whatever social channels you are to stay abreast of news. I think that's always important. But I feel like something that they can definitely, you know, the call to action here is to use the product when it's live, and to give feedback.
Yeah, if I could add on to that and maybe just give some timelines for those who it's, you know, their first time checking us out. Maybe you're part of the Chainlink community and you're just finding out who we are at Spicenet. I'll give you guys some timelines on what we're looking at over the next couple of months and ways that we would love to see people get involved. So next month, we're looking at doing an on-chain campaign for Spice Flow, which is our first product. It's our distribution product. So Spice Flow takes an application that's native to a chain, and it makes it feel universal and native to other chains, all the other chains that we are deployed on, without asking the application to move to those other chains, fragmenting their liquidity, deploying more smart contracts. So we'll do some on-chain quests that kind of activate that. And we're going to do that through the portal that we announced earlier this month. And that portal can be found on our X account. So yeah, if you could give us a follow, that would be amazing. Check that out. There's some fun off-chain quests on there, but we'll start doing some on-chain quests through that. From there, we'll look to have an MVP for our other product, which is Spice Edge. And this kind of goes more into what Hans was talking about, which is the ability to execute across multiple venues with the same capital. So already we are integrating Derive for this, as well as Hyperliquid and Uniswap, and integrating new venues every day. And essentially we'll offer a single endpoint for people to tap into all of those venues. And the coolest part, the part that I'm most excited about for that, is the unified margin capabilities that come with it. So my margin is understood on Hyperliquid as well as on Derive, which means that I could do hedging strategies across the two. And if they're hedging each other out, I'm going to get way more capital efficiency, which is the type of thing that in traditional finance they lean on between like the New York Stock Exchange and the CME Group futures. Like the ability to actually have margin across these things gives them the ability to operate capital in a capital efficient way. So yeah, we want you guys to test out these products. We would love to have you there when they are available for testing. And the best way to make sure that you are there is to give us a follow and check out that portal. And yeah, you'll get all the information that you need to from that. Other than that, I think we'll wrap it up here, Hans. I know you have so many projects that you need to look after, and we know how busy you are because we're talking.
That's not an excuse.
No, it's not an excuse, but we want you to continue to be able to serve people the way that you've been able to help us out. So we will not take any more of your time here. If there's any sign-off message you want to leave people with, I'll give you the floor here, and then we'll wrap up for today.
Yeah, maybe the last thing is that Chainlink, we have the resources to sort of like run events globally. We have a lot of people, a lot of projects in different pockets of the world. Sometimes I feel like meeting projects, people, users in real life means a lot. The kind of things that people tell you could be a lot realer, a lot more relevant, and also the connections that you make are potentially a lot stronger. So to that note, please, I always welcome you to come join us, and any of your community members to come join us at our events. There are events catered for different purposes, for builders, for community. At Chainlink, we have events that are specifically just for Chainlink community, anybody just to learn about Chainlink and our adjacent projects or the projects building on us. And also, like, we host like this annual conference called SmartCon. It's super cool. Like the most recent one was in New York. So Matt, I think I'll expect to see you at the next one in 2026. Yeah. I don't know the location yet. But yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Any events coming up that you want to tell people about, or we'll leave them to go find that out from your Twitter page?
No. They should actually check this one out. It's in December. It's in Abu Dhabi. I have like very esteemed colleagues based in the Middle East region, and I'm looking forward to touch base with them. But Solana Breakpoint, for the guys that are going on Solana, it's actually super cool, and maybe Spicenet as well. Once you guys go down the non-EVM route, Solana could be a good blockchain to focus on.
Yeah, I think we'll actually be at the Breakpoint event, so we can definitely talk to the projects there. I mean, I get DMs and comments on my personal account on X all the time asking when we're going to deploy on SVM.
When Solana?
Yeah, when Solana. Okay. So yeah, you could say I'm going to talk to some teams and see if that's something that we should consider sooner than we were planning on in our roadmap. But regardless, it definitely is on our roadmap, and it's something we're excited about.
Amazing. And Chainlink is on Solana as well, so we'll be here to support.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Hans. It's been an absolute pleasure. I mean, you're going to hear from me probably in your DMs in 2 hours when I need the next thing from you. So it's not goodbye for too long from me, but yeah, for everyone that got to see you here for today, it's goodbye for now. But I'm sure that in the near future there will be a lot more to come out of us and Chainlink. So yeah, stay tuned for that, guys. And until next time, stay spicy. We'll see you soon.
Thanks, Matt. Appreciate it.